Yeah, well, I guess it's been 36 hours since we finished.
Yeah.
TPR 2022, which was 1600k race across the Pyrenees and back.
32,000 metres of elevation.
Yeah, and self-supported. So anyway, I thought we'd do a bit of a debrief so that we can remember it mostly, and put some videos and stuff behind what we're saying. So pre-race got down to Saint-Jean-de-Luz.
Pissing
with rain, and to be fair, I was pretty nervous because I'd been a bit ill, and I felt quite sick, to be honest, before we were starting. I don't know how you felt.
I didn't feel sick. I think I felt a bit nervous.
Yeah.
But I was also just keen to start because it was kind of horrible not starting when you've got it. You just want to start getting it underway, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely.
That was
Well, we had a pizza. Well, we had to do registration and all that, which was fine, but absolutely chucking it down with rain. And it was quite a good atmosphere in the tent and stuff, wasn't it? But, and then we had our last supper of pizza, which again, I really didn't have an appetite, but
it was so salty as well.
Yeah, and that was that really. And then went to bed in the campsite, and the next morning we were up at sort of 4 a.m. to get going, which was a little bit of a panic because we were a bit late. We misjudged our alarm and got there a bit late. So a little bit of a panic getting ready and getting down to the start line.
But it was supposed to be raining and it wasn't, which was good.
Yeah, no rain.
It was just very dry.
Yeah, and then sat on the start line. It's a good bit of a buzz, and then we started, went away, which was quite daunting, but good to get underway, I think. The whole group of people rolling through the streets at 6:30 in the morning. It's quite cool.
Yeah, but it was quite a very low key start line, wasn't it? So it was also kind of slightly anticlimactic in some way because you've been preparing for a while for it.
Yeah.
And it's a massive thing, but then also it was literally just a few people at the start line going up in waves.
Yeah.
And then it was sort of,
and
also
you
you just have to go really slowly as opposed to most star lines where you sort of go off and have a bit of momentum. This was very much we just started going, and
although the I think we definitely went harder than we should than we did for the rest of the trip on that first morning.
But you can't not really.
Yeah.
It's so hard to hold yourself back a bit. Especially, I think we taken it quite well. To be honest, so I think I was really ready to go and quite well rested. So.
Anyway, so we shortly got to checkpoint 1, didn't we? Or making our way up to checkpoint 1. And it was quite disconcerting to see a few people coming back down the same direction, which we obviously weren't planning on doing. But it was the first of a number of options that people could take for the route. But hit checkpoint 1 and had a little coffee stop, which was nice.
We eventually that was probably quite leisurely, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We sat down, we had a coffee, we had a bit of cake.
Yeah, this is before we realised
everyone else was really
sort of
cracking on.
Weight of the event. Anyway. Yeah, and then we descended. I had a crash, which was not too good. It's just on a left-hand bend, and just the bike washed out. I just slid for miles down the road on the wet tarmac.
The roads were pretty wet, weren't they?
Yeah.
Was that just after we'd had that big downpour?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had one. It hadn't really rained that much. It'd been light mist, and then
we had a good feed at a supermarket in Oleron, didn't we, before heading up into the mountains properly.
Yeah.
But we could see the mountains coming, which was quite cool. So.
And that's where we met. Before that, we actually met Hanif.
Oh yeah, Hanif. First character of the race.
Who was a solo rider who we met on a bridge as we had lunch. We'd end up being with him for the next sort of day or two, and then following him in spirit for the next 6 days.
Yeah.
More on him later.
Yeah. So after that, we sort of started climbing up towards Le Run, and then up to Portelet, which was kind of our first major climb. It's actually a 24k climb. Fairly shallow grades, but just a long climb, and we went and started going into the dark.
A bit later.
Didn't see many people around really. We saw Hanif in the restaurant.
Yeah.
He was getting himself a burrito and an omelette or something, but yeah, there's not really anybody about.
Okay. I think was that because lots of people were going a different route round.
Yeah, people were taking all sorts of routes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people did go over the Porcelet, but
yeah.
just we didn't see many people. And then we descended all the way down into Biescas, which we got there about 10 p.m. thinking that was quite late on the first day.
Yeah.
And just about got a pizza in the restaurant where we met another character of the trip, Graham, who's a sort of maybe 50
man from Bristol.
Yeah, man from Bristol who wears sandals on his bike all the time, all year round.
SPD sandals, which is quite cool.
But yeah, we ordered takeaway pizzas as well as our main pizzas for breakfast the next day.
Yeah.
Went to bed in the hotel and had an alarm set for 4 hours.
Yeah.
So then day 2, first consecutive day, we woke up, got some pizza down us, which we weren't fancying, but actually wasn't too bad, was it?
Yeah, I literally wasn't going to eat mine, and then I just wanted to take it with me, but I didn't have any space. And then actually, so I thought, well, I'll have to eat somewhere, and I started eating, and actually it went down very, very well.
Yeah. And then
cold start.
It was a cold start.
Yeah.
We had to make our way towards the second parkour. Sorry.
Yeah.
And a parkour is like a defined route you have to take. We had to check some checkpoints, which are points, individual points, and then parkour's a defined route. Anyway, so we started climbing with Graham, and it was quite exciting to just sort of get going on the first morning, I think. And nothing too eventful really. Up and over to Plan, which was the first. We did the first parkour from Grotto to Plan.
We'd rather naively hope we'd be able to get coffee or somewhere, something quite early on, to get us going and some food. But Plan was Grotto was absolutely dead.
Yeah.
And then,
but it was early, wasn't it?
It was still like 6,
7 or something like that. Yeah.
Although it was quite weird that there were still people coming in from like nights out as we were sort of cycling, which was quite kind of rogue, not very.
Oxymoronic.
Yeah.
So then, from Plan you had options again. Some people weren't taking. There was a gravel climb up and over towards the next checkpoint, which was more direct. But a lot of people went down and round to avoid the gravel. But we went for it.
Oh, before we do get into that, we need to remember our second interaction with Denise.
Oh yeah.
It might have been our third actually, because we did bump into him when me, Graham, you and Denise all sheltered in a ATM. Room in Brotto whilst we were trying to look for a cafe. But then our next interaction with Denise was when we finally found a cafe. We'd done this sort of quite nice climb, came over a crest, and then there was a beautiful valley all in the sun, and it was absolutely lovely. And it was very like sort of Spanish and stuff. And we came over there, and it was really nice. Descended a bit, found a cafe.
Yeah, and then we saw him again in Plan before the gravel section, and he seemed like he was about to leave, but then we arrived. And he sort of hung around for a while. I think he was basically waiting for us to get going, and then when we did get going, he came with us. Mm-hmm. But actually, he soon dropped us on the climb, didn't he? So, and we didn't see him again for a few days. In fact, at all. Oh, until the last day.
That was the last day. Yeah. That was what, 1,000 metre climb?
Yeah, about 1,000 metres on gravel, which was not too bad going, but just a bit more difficult than road.
Yeah.
Great views at the top though. It's pretty cool. I was glad we took that option. Except the only issue was coming down the other side. I had a blowout, slipped the sidewall of my tyre, which luckily we had some tyre boots which did fix it, but it's a little bit sketchy.
It had been a bit of a slow day to that point, hadn't it, really?
Yeah, it had a bit.
Well, as in like
the gravel took a while.
Yeah, just like we were behind progress on what we thought, because it was going to be a longish day anyway, wasn't it? But it was about this point that we sort of realised that the day might not go to plan.
Yeah.
And it was as Hugh was repairing his sidewall slit.
Yeah.
That I was sort of having a little look on the Pyrenees Instagram and noticed that they had been commenting a lot on how the next section of gravel, which we were also opting to do, was particularly rocky and rough and hard, and people had been really slow over it and got several punctures. So it was as he was repairing his other sort of rather bad puncture that I was looking at this that we thought, and we looked at the time as well, which meant that we were kind of fined to get to our our hotel that we planned, that we thought we should potentially reroute and avoid the gravel, which would be the gravel section, which would be more climbing by about 300 meters and about an extra 20 k's, but not on really rough gravel. It's, you know, would have been right in the middle and like really early doors. We would have had to have done it, so it would have been quite slow.
Yeah.
On an already long and tight day.
Yeah. So. And I wasn't going to be able to get a replacement tyre before that, so then it would be a bit risky doing that with a sidewall slash. Anyway, so yeah, we made plans to go to a town called Sort instead. And yeah, it's a little bit of a slog to get there. It took a while, just into the night, and we got there around midnight, where we had some focaccias and some chocky milk and bedded down for another 4 hours sleep.
Yeah, we ended up doing quite a lot of arriving at the hotel late, very late, sitting down slightly shell-shocked on the bed and just sort of scranning a load of food and chocolate milk. Which was always quite a tender moment. Yeah,
but yeah, it was a little bit daunting the next day because we knew we then had, well, we thought we had 275 k's, something like that. With this new route plan, but so I was a bit nervous about that, and also didn't sleep very well that night either, which was not great. But yeah, woke up the next day, got going up a climb called El Santo with another character we've met called Tom, and it was we got to the top. It was a big climb. It was probably 1,100 meters. Was it? Maybe not that much.
Not quite that much, but it was long.
Yeah, and just as we crested it, the sunrise was coming up, and it was pretty awesome.
That was really nice.
And then descended down and made it into Sur du Gel for the first time of the day, notably passing possibly the craziest person we met in the race, which was a half Australian, half Russian guy riding a fixie on the whole route. And he was fixing his puncture, I think, on the side of the road. But yeah, fair play to him if he made it round. But I don't know if he did.
He had full camping gear as well. He had like a solid mat, and like a massive pannier rack, which was full of stuff. And on day one, he had a bin bag over it.
Just a bin bag, yeah.
That's his waterproof protection.
So a bit of a nutter. But then we sort of made our way up into Andorra to checkpoint 3, which was fairly uneventful, except the climb up to the actual checkpoint, which was quite savage.
Knowing especially we had to come down a few minutes later, because this is where we'd chosen to, instead of basically going a shorter gravel route over the top, we'd ended up going round and road climb. There's only one road into this town where the checkpoint is. They put this checkpoint there to make this decision, which quite a lot of people were coming up the valley anyway. Bit of a grim climb, steep, up to the top to get our checkpoint 3 stamp. Yeah,
we got our stamp and a coffee, then straight back down, and a quick stop. Well, a kind of quick stop in Andorra for the supermarket and Macca's.
Oh, the Macca's.
At which point I checked on the Garmin. This is midday, already doing 80 k's or something like 85 k's. Checked the Garmin, and we've still got 210 k's with 2,500 meters vertical still to go, and that was a little bit daunting.
And it was also about to go into like afternoon heat, which was particularly hot, and finding the quite tough those first 50 k's after lunch.
Yeah,
it's always very
down the valley.
Hot, even if you're not going uphill. To be fair, we had to smash down that valley for a while.
Yeah, but we made good progress actually that afternoon, and we did crack on.
I was getting a burning sensation in my toe actually at that point, which was quite disturbing. Which was weird. I didn't really get to the bottom of what it was.
No.
It was very sudden, and it was burning like it was like a rash. And I put a blister plaster on it, but it still burnt for the rest of the day. But then it sort of disappeared, and then I had it again another couple of days. The only other thing that I did at that point was I changed my socks.
That helped.
No, as in I changed it before they started hurting.
Oh.
At the Macca's, I realised.
Right.
I put my thinner socks on.
Right. Less kitchen.
I don't know. Yeah. Weird. It was quite rogue, but anyway, so that was a slightly troubling all for us. But.
Yeah. But actually, it was fairly quick going, and we had basically 2 serious climbs. The first one was actually really nice. It was called the Col de Tosses, which was beautiful. It was like 4% average for about 15 k's or something, and it was genuinely 4% average, which was great. So no steep sections.
Yeah.
and then a really nice descent, like a 30k descent into a town called Ripoll.
Yeah. Which was good.
Which we stocked up and were stoked up in Ripoll, and then that then took us over the Col d'Ares and past CP4 in Coustouge through the night, we got to our hotel around half midnight.
That was
Mackinac.
That was a bit of a push as well, that one, because I think when we stopped at 7 o'clock, we had 100 k's left to do, did we?
Maybe, yeah.
I think so. I think because we'd had like 100 miles to do in about 8 hours, and then we had 100 k's to do from 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
With not too much climbing, but still a bit.
Yeah.
And we basically had a quick refuel, made some sandwiches, and then really went for a bit of a push.
Cracked on, yeah.
Which was okay, actually.
Yeah, and we did, as we say, 300 k's, which pretty much 296 k's. And actually, we weren't feeling too bad, I thought, but
no.
But then, because we got in at half midnight, and we still planned to make our next hotel the next day, so we had set the alarm for 3 hours. So I think it was probably 4:30 or something like that. We set the alarm for, and then the next morning was definitely the low point for me anyway.
And me,
because it was a big day the day before, way above what we'd done before, and we only had 3 hours sleep and just felt crap, and the bodies were starting to give up on us as well.
This is where we were sort of like going to the coast and then going to have to turn away and come back, and it was a real net gain of elevation day because we had to go all the way. It was a bit of up to the coast as well, which was quite frustrating.
Yeah.
And then down, and then basically climb from sea level
back
up
into the mountains.
Eventually at least to over 2,000 meters, but with climbs in between, so it was just going to be quite savage.
Yeah.
And I had woke up with a big blister on my left arse cheek, which was not good.
Yeah.
And I think,
just sort of stiff and sore from the big day.
The rim, and I couldn't sit in the saddle very nicely.
But luckily, neither of us really voiced our opinions. I think we both knew that we were both, both like, But anyway, so we cracked on, and actually, once we got rolling, it sort of went pretty quickly for me.
Yeah.
And
it was a nice section to CP.
Yeah, and it was really nice.
Parkour 5. Yeah.
So thoughts were mostly forgotten because the coast began to like appear, and the surroundings were much more like Mediterranean, rolling through nice vineyards, and a col that was closed to traffic up to the Parkour 5, the Col de Banyuls.
Yeah. Really nice.
Which was nice. So got up to there, began Parkour 5, which took us up to Monte Mariot and down into the port town of Vondres, where the lighthouse on the cap there signified our turnaround point for the whole trip, and was the end point of the parkour, which I think was both exciting and intimidating at the same time, because it had already been hard work to get there, and I think we thought that this French side of the trip, the second half, was going to be even harder.
Old mate at the checkpoint did nicely point out that at least now every pedal stroke was taking us closer to home, which is good, because before it was indeed taking us further away. So so that was reassuring, and it was nice. It was tough to move away because also the coast was nice. We cycled through this town, and there were just like loads of nice restaurants by the harbour side, people eating like seafood and having a beer and stuff, and we could have. It was also a point where you could have ended the journey, and it would have been quite nice. And you're like, oh, we're done, hop in the sea,
and enjoy ourselves.
Let's relax. But and we then stopped at that we had to get some fuel in, so we stopped at a sandwich shop, had a relatively leisurely break.
Yeah, a bit of a lazy break. I think our morale was a little bit low, thinking, shit, we're only halfway.
But we had developed quite a good tactic for lunch, food-wise. We've been just generally picking stuff up.
Yeah.
Like as we go along, having a bit of lunch, stopping and eating lunch. But then we decided we kept on sort of basically buying double lunch, because we, have something, and I call it lunch. It would always end up morphing into some sort of weird afternoon snack
time,
as well. But we'd have something, get 2 baguettes, eat one again a bit later on the bike, because you just need so many calories.
Yeah.
Get a lot of Oranginas in, few coffees.
Yeah.
It was a good stop like that.
It was,
had a good fuel.
Yeah, it was a nice sandwichery.
Yeah.
And then we began ascending back through the foothills and into the mountains, which was quite nice. It was again hot, but it was through vineyards and very Mediterranean terrain, which was quite different and nice. And yeah, I got the sidewall slip that I had in my tyre eventually punctured my inner tube on one of those climbs up. What was it? The Col de... I don't know. Oh, Monte Kayaks. But luckily the next town, Ilse-Tech, was quite a large town, and it was Monday at that point, so and we got over the hill into Ilse-Tech.
This was when we started the final parkour as well.
Yes, yeah, true.
Which was the last sort of, well, basically the whole route back is pretty much a parkour.
Yeah.
600 k's.
Yeah. So it's 40 climbs.
All defined for you, which was
pretty cool.
It was cool, yeah. But yeah, we just started cracking on that really, didn't we?
Yeah, and we found a pretty cool bike shop in the town who were fabricating like their own mostly mountain bike frames, which was quite cool. And they had just one road tyre available, which happened to be an exact replacement for the one I had on the wheel anyway. So
good.
And after a quick photo request from the guy in the shop for us doing the TPR, we were back on the road. And then we just climbed a couple more cols, the Ballesta and the Col de Garabille, before making our stop for dinner and snacks at a shop.
It was turned out to be a bit of a theme. The way we'd end up doing dinner as well would always be all the riders would converge on the last shop that was open, sort of normally between 7 and 8 o'clock, before heading off for the last bit of riding, however much that was. So we ended up there, a few other riders joined us, smashed a load of bakery items and bread and chocolate, got some bits the next day. We started buying cafe lattes, iced cafe lattes for breakfast the next morning, because we just could never get coffee first thing and actually really needed that burst of caffeine. So we'd stock up, fill up the musette full of calories,
for the goodies,
and
get going
and head off.
That
was daunting.
Yeah, well, at this point I was going to say we had a hotel booked in a town called Aix-les-Thermes, which actually was slightly off route and downhill from the route, so we'd have to go down to the hotel and climb back up the next day. But speaking to a French guy whose name we still don't know, but possibly Guillaume.
Yeah. Guillaume Grimaud.
He'd booked a gîte that we hadn't found, which is en route, so it didn't require any deviation. And because our morale was quite sort of low, well, not low, but it was a bit daunting, we decided to cut our losses and just book the same gîte.
That gîte was still going to be a push, because we still had, was it 2,000 and something?
Yeah, I think so.
And we only started at 8 o'clock, I think, that time.
Yeah, so it was late, and we knew it would be a late one. We thought we'd arrive around 1 a.m, but we were wrong. The Col de Palaise took ages, and
there was a bit of walking on that.
Lots of listening to random podcasts, and a lot of hallucinating and delusional sort of thoughts. But yeah, we crested just before 3 o'clock, or going up to 3 o'clock in the morning, passing a number of bivvied up cyclists as we went. Graham, yeah. And then quickly chucked on the warm gear and descended to this gîte, which we struggled to get in at first, and I've noted that it was probably a sign of our mental state, because we didn't actually try the front door of the gîte at all until a bit later on. We were trying all the rear doors, but anyway, we thought we'd better get decent sleep, so we gave ourselves 4 hours again, which meant we woke up around 8, and both were struggling a bit with knee pain. We popped some paracetamol plus and got going around 9. It's actually a really stunning morning, like a really, really chilled but sunny morning, and started up the Col de Chiula.
I was particularly excited to get to that hostel as well, because I'd had this blister and I basically just cycled on it, and I didn't really know what sort of state it was. I spent most of the day being quite worried that it was going to get infected, and I'd end up sort of losing my arse or something. So And so then it was nice. I put a compete on it, and that sort of seemed to take hold, and take hold too well, and it would then be there for the next 4 days. Much to my disdain. But then starting the next morning we were a bit more comfortable, I think, all around.
And we climbed this climb. We had a brief stop with the race officials who were on the downhill, and then we descended for like what felt a long time down to a place called Tarascon-sur-Ariège, which was skirting north of Andorra as well. Good sandwich again, chat with a German bloke who was interested in the race, and then cracked on to the next town, which was called Alsace, but we weren't given out just yet, were we? Climbing the Port de l'Airs, shortly after, a quick descent to the top of the Col d'Agnes. From there we went down the valley to the Col de la Cour, which went up and over to Castillon-en-Cousteron, or Cousteron. By the time we got there, it was around 9 o'clock, and we decided to have a proper meal while we got into our sort of night gear, where we also found our fellow cyclist Tom, and he joined us for our pizza, and then decided to also join us for our now kind of infamous night mission rides.
He'd done a big day. He'd started on the other side of the Palier, which we had done the night before, which quite a lot of people had opted to do, is to stay on the other side of the mountain before dropping down, because there weren't many accommodation options or anything like that, and it was late. So actually we had finished really late. A lot of people had then started pretty much the time we were finishing, and then kind of caught up with us, because we didn't get going till about 9. But then Tom was planning on sacking it off after a bit, pretty much after the town we were in. But there was no hotels or anything like that, and I think he was probably deliriously tired, and we just sort of jokingly said, well, you should just come to Pyrenees Race with us, and he just basically decided to. So we had pizza and chips with him, and cracked on, which was it was nice to give it a bit of variety,
I think we all went through lows of extreme tiredness, but it was okay, and we got over the Col de Mont and the Porte d'Aspet, and made our way to Pyrenees-de-Luz, which we got in at 3:30 again.
Tom had booked a room, but then we'd given him his key card, and he spent about 15 minutes saying he couldn't get in, his key card didn't work, and he was going to maybe ring the woman that had left her number, but he didn't want to because it was too late, and then he found a random mattress and was going to sleep on that mattress in our room, and was sort of faffing around for a bit, and then actually I think it turned out he basically wasn't holding his card close enough to the card reader to open the door. I mean, more of a testament again to the state of delusion we were all in.
But I gave ourselves 4 hours sleep, and then had an awesome hotel breakfast, which was pretty nice.
Some Crave cereal,
3 double espressos, and cracked on. Tom left us in the morning, and then we didn't see him again. He went on to finish a few hours ahead of us, so he did pretty well. But we summited the Pyrenees Sword, which went straight down then into the Col d'Aspin, which I thought was a pretty nice, pretty standout climb.
This was the day of the classic cols, really, wasn't it? A lot. It was basically, it was quite an easy day mentally, I would have said, because it was like 4 big climbs that just went up, down, no rolling through any valleys or anything like that. No. Because quite a lot of the time you mark the days by the climbs, but then there would be 30 k's of sort of rolling in between that you'd have to do, which could take a while, whereas this was literally just go up, go down, go up, go down. It was quite easy to just tick them off.
Exactly. And then we descended the Aspin and had a little bit of time to enjoy it, because we stopped for an omelette and chips, which was our first kind of proper stop for a restaurant lunch anyway. Which was really nice. Glad we got that in. Before we then went down and started the summit, climbing of the Tourmalet, which was kind of as expected. It was a long climb, pretty hot and pretty hard work, but it provided some pretty good views, and it's a classic, so it was nice to do it. I thought anyway.
Yeah, it was probably the only climb on the thing that I'd really heard that much about.
Yeah.
And it was good. I don't think it was quite as dramatic for a lot of it. Like the end was cool. I think a lot of the start wasn't as nice as I was hoping for.
No.
And then there wasn't kind of a sign at the top, which was a bit of a stitch up. Every other col has a sign, and then the most sort of iconic one of the whole trip.
I think there was a guy with a bike, a statue, but it's gone. But yeah, the views from the top were awesome, and the descent was like a really nice snaking road with golden hours and sunshine coming down on us.
We met at the top of that, and sort of on that we met sort of 3 guys. One guy the older dude we'd not really bumped into before.
No.
And we had maybe seen him once or so, but like most of the way through this we've been seeing the same characters. And then we also saw this young guy who we'd seen on day 2, first thing in the morning. He'd had a crappy night on the he came over the Portelet.
Yeah.
And then he'd not slept.
He had no sleeping bag.
No sleeping bag.
He bivvied up on the Portelet or something.
He literally just descended a bit on the other side instead of descending all the way. So anyway, he had a crap night's sleep, and we bumped into him, and then we hadn't seen him again. And then we saw him at this point.
Yeah.
And we also saw
Will,
who was another guy who we'd bumped into at various points. Once in Ripoll, here and there. He'd recognised us as the Planet Flex team, and we saw him, and so then us sort of 5 were all at the top together and descended. Down to a supermarket and had a big supermarket picnic all together, which was quite nice. And we were all doing similar things the rest of the day. We were, quite a lot of the time we'd stop and people would have quite different targets. Especially as we were working into the night much more than a lot of people. So it would often be we'd be like, oh yeah, we're trying to do another 80 Ks, and everyone else was like, oh okay, we're only doing another 20. But these guys were all sort of pushing on similar, because we basically all at this point had to go
one
finish
day left.
line, so is that day 6?
Yeah, it's day 6. So we decided to bivvy that final night because we weren't concerned about washing or charging stuff or anything like that, because it was only one day to go. So our plan was to then summit the Col de Souleur and the Obisque in the dark, which are apparently some of the most spectacular climbs on the route, but we wouldn't know. And
it was very foggy, and that was the first time it had started not being wall-to-wall sunshine. It was pretty foggy. We bought some galettes and some cheese and ham and lettuce and rolled those up. Quite good actually. It was a variety.
But we descended off the Obisque, and it was pretty wet and miserable, and I was thinking, God, this bivvy idea is maybe not a good one. But a little town called Aubonne, just above our target town of Larun, provided the perfect place for the little a little village grandstand in the square, which I spotted, and I didn't think it would be unlocked, but it was worth a try. And then we went over, and the door swung open. So we got down with our sleeping bags on the floor and went out like lights. And then the next morning, testament to how comfortable it was, we both overslept the alarm. I woke up an hour later, 5:30, and obviously we got going as soon as possible. We still had plenty of time in theory had plenty of time to complete the route, so it was all good.
It was definitely a bit of a concern in the morning. It wasn't we were we can probably do it fine, but we can't hang around too much, and it was just maybe a little bit of stress. But
it was okay, really.
Mostly okay, and I think
it was final day, so we just knew we could crack on a bit, and didn't have to worry about the next day. So we crested the Marie Blanc and the Dicher before arriving in what should have been our hotel town for the night before, which was a wreck.
At 11 a.m. So quite ambitious.
So we had a quick pit stop there, a visit to a bike shop where I finally got myself a new saddle, which I'd been talking about for about 5 days.
We haven't really delved into this. Do you want to do a quick sidebar on the saddle issues?
I had saddle issues. Weren't saddle sores.
And he tried to do a bit of a home modification, which involved cutting out the cutout even more, and it seemed to make it worse.
It kind of made it worse. And then I taped a sock to my saddle in various places, and I think it helped a bit, but anyway.
On the saddle side note as well, I've been cycling pretty much since day 4 with my second pair of shorts, like strapped to the saddle because I needed the extra comfort because I actually could not sit on my saddle, with just one pair of shorts. But that was actually really quite good.
Yeah. And I pretty much did the last 2 days climbing out of the saddle. So I like to think that I pretty much Everested, out of the saddle, which was quite cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, then from Arret we made our way over the penultimate large climb, which was the Pierre Saint-Martin, with about 1200 metres elevation gained from Arret, and then descended that, and we're excited to get onto the final climb, which was the colder. Sorry.
Just thinking of the start of Saint-Martin, that was potentially one of the worst moments. I was really tired at that point, and it was not that late.
No,
it was 12, like 12, but I guess we hadn't had much. We had like 3 hours sleep or something.
Yeah.
And I was like getting really sleepy, which was quite weird because normally we'd like be pedaling at night and you just have your the torchlight on the ground and you'd be like
rock you to sleep,
and that would really be quite like hypnotising, and we'd end up very sleepy doing that.
Yeah.
But this was the first time I had it when I was just like literally pedaling up and I was just absolutely knackered.
Yeah.
And it was quite a steep start, wasn't it? But then it levelled out, and we had a bit of a win on that one actually at the top, where we didn't actually go to the very top of the col.
Oh yeah.
We sort of went to almost the top, and then the route we were taking petered off. So we sort of thought our Garmin to align to us, or split the climb in two, and then actually we got to the top, we got to this bit, and actually we turned off to descend, and we skipped another like 300 metres or something like that climbing, which was very nice.
So that was a positive, but we were excited to get going on the final climb, but things quickly turned for the worse, where the lower slopes were fine, but the top section, top 5Ks, averaged 13%, which was the steepest of the trip by far. Which was hard work, but it was sweet relief to get to the top of that one. And had one short downhill before a relatively chilled but uphill to the Col something or other Basque up, because it's a really long name.
Really long name.
But that was really nice actually, just to take in what we'd done and approaching the last Col of the trip basically.
Yeah.
And
that was, what time was that? About 6 o'clock?
6:30ish. Yeah.
So we knew we had sort of. Once we were getting to this point, we sort of knew, barring any catastrophe, it was in the bag to get in before the cut-off at midnight. It was like, until you've done the climbs and like got them out of the way, it's quite hard to know, because sometimes just can take you ages, can't they? And especially when that one started getting steep. But then as we got to the top of there, and it was like, I would say 6:30, and we knew there was more or less around sort of 70-80 k's when we got to the town at the bottom of the descent. We were feeling pretty comfortable.
That's it, yeah. So we got to the town Saint-Jean-de-Luz, where we stocked up on a bit of food.
Yeah, more chocolate milk.
And then did our best to kind of time trial the last 60 k's down the line to Saint-Jean-de-Luz, where we finished with around 2 hours to spare.
Yeah.
Which is
after 10 o'clock.
A pretty sweet feeling. But got it done, and it's probably fair to say that it was much more difficult than anticipated, particularly on the sleep front, just way less sleep than I thought anyway.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say I enjoyed it.
A
few low moments, of course, but mostly through the night riding, I think.
Yeah.
Probably a victim of us trying to push for these hotels, and then therefore the problem that was associated with booking the hotels in advance rather than just being more flexible.
But we're thinking it was, but equally, like, we did those distances, we still cut it pretty fine.
Yeah.
And like, if we'd gone a bit shorter, on some of the days we'd have had more time to sleep, more energy, and could have gone quicker and covered the same ground quicker. But it's quite hard to know. So it's like, actually seems like we pretty much had to go those distances to get there, considering we only finished with 2 hours to spare.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like the tiredness would have run our energy that much more than like if we'd have just booked as we went along.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was awesome. We finished, went to a little after party, caught up with all our friends that we made on the route, and that was that really. I mean, bit nothing too crazy, but really satisfied to get it done and to finish within the GC time. And we were second pair actually, so we were one of 2 pairs to finish within the GC time. So that was good.
And we sort of, I don't know, we spoke to a lot of people, because there weren't many pairs, there were only 6 pairs out of 150 riders in total.
Yeah.
And I think they said, most people we bumped into would be like, oh, you're doing it as a pair, and they would be quite shocked and be like, God, that's a challenge, like, I must be that tough. But to be fair, like, when like I speak to them, I'd be like, you're doing it solo, that must be grim, because like, I don't know, like, so much, whilst you could ride with people a bit, there were definitely times when they weren't, and like, that must have been
a lot of times, I'd say.
Yeah, it must have been pretty low.
Yeah.
Just you and your thoughts the whole time. Not that we spoke constantly.
No.
But
we didn't speak that much.
But we didn't speak that much.
What on lows? What would you say mentally your the lowest point, and physically the hardest point?
Yeah, mentally the hardest point was that day 4 morning after Coustouge or Mackinac, we descended. And I sort of thought it was just pure descent to the coast, but actually there was a few pretty nails climbs, and I had the arse blisters. I think I started getting Achilles tendonitis at that point, so that was mentally tough. And as we say, it was like just getting to halfway, potentially with the tougher return half to go. So that was mentally. What about you?
Literally, probably that morning, waking up. As soon as we got rolling, I was okay. But I think that day, and just worrying a little bit about the saddle problems.
Yeah.
Just got me a little bit like, should I carry on really? Is this a good idea? But
what about physically hardest moments?
I mean, probably the last colt, but
was
physically the hardest.
I think I still had. I think because it was the last day, I had energy.
Yeah.
So I think actually, whilst that was technically the hardest point, I didn't find it physically the most tolling. I think the Palais was the most tolling because I was also really sleepy.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking to myself as we went up that climb, that if I was on my own, I'd just be on the side and go to sleep.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, because I was that tired, and I was like, I was just looking at spots on the side, thinking I could be there. So I think obviously we had to walk bits of it because we did.
Yeah. I think likewise for me, with the night we went to Saint-Jean-de-Luz with Tom. Like I was pretty knackered there. But
it's interesting that because we definitely had those. I didn't find that one that bad. I think I found that the worst bit of that was just actually after we'd done all the climbing, and then we were descending to Saint-Jean-de-Luz, and that stretch of road was a bit longer than I thought, and we had to go around the town. We went like the signs weren't quite where we were going. It was going then round the climb, round the town to the other side of it and stuff. And so I think I found that was pretty tough. But we definitely didn't peak and trough at the same time a lot of the time, which was I think is definitely the biggest challenge as a pair, is that you're never in sync. But we got pretty good at. We did get good at always whenever either of us needed to stop to do something, we both sort of used the time, didn't we, to sort of de-layer or eat or whatever like that, so that you're not then having to stop again later. So maybe the first couple of days we were a bit more like, we'll just stop. Yeah. But you quickly lose quite a lot of time.
Yeah. But no, we got through it, did it. It was really good to do it. And we've been pretty whacked for the last 2 days. Since finishing, but heading back up towards the ferry today. And hopefully this little, we'll remember it forever, I'm sure, because it is tough, and you always remember the tough things. But hopefully this can serve as a bit of a memory jogger as well, with some videos and photos or whatever. Well done, mate.
Well done.
Guess that'll do.
That'll do.
Cheers.